Garrett McCoy from Move.Breathe.Create, inviting you to take it to heart. To look at your heart's health as more than just cardiovascular function. It's easy to look at the heart as a place of a love, emotion. This person's got heart. It's easy to think of it exactly as what it is, a powerful pump that helps move blood throughout the body and works with the lungs to make respiration happen. But it's often neglected to see the heart as a center of intelligence and possibly the most important thing in the body, because we can influence it with our actions. We can influence it with a few deep breaths. When we look directly at the connection between the head and the heart, it's easy to think that the brain is more powerful. But in an energy perspective, the heart puts out an electromagnetic field that is nearly 100 times greater than the heart. That's a little mind-blowing. It takes a little time to sink that in, that this is a major or the biggest sense of energy in our body. And between that communication between our head and our heart, 90% of it is going from our hearts to our heads. So you could argue that the brain is in service to the heart. And this is extremely important when you look at today's emphasis on mental health, on stress, and on anxiety. What has happened is our fast-paced, always-on society is leading people into a sympathetic nervous system state, which means they're in fight or flight. It's a state of arousal. When this happens, not only does the heart rate come up, has to work a little bit harder, but the respiratory rate comes up, which means we're over-breathing. We're over-breathing, we're creating more oxidative stress. If we're over-breathing and our heart rate's higher, our entire system has to work harder and harder. And this nervous system or always-on state starts as habitual, then it becomes chronic, and then it becomes long-term disease. When we talk about long-term disease, of course, we're talking about cardiovascular disease, but neurodegenerative disease, diabetes, and also cancer. All of these are influenced by oxidative stress and by inflammation, by our systems essentially having to work too hard to not be able to balance ourselves out or to regulate our nervous systems. So yes, we want cardiovascular health, but that's not just about doing a charity walk, or it's not about running a half marathon. It's also about understanding the little things that you can do throughout the day to eat, as I like to call it, the low-hanging fruit of health that is going to help you breathe less, to lower your heart rate, to lower your stress levels, to lower your anxiety levels, to sleep better at night. And as a personal trainer, a coach, a leader in the fitness industry for 20 years, of course I care about the physical benefits of the heart. But as somebody who has suffered from anxiety and panic attacks that has led into vertigo, my own personal experience, although I was physically healthy, led to some of these mental health problems. It was essentially my nervous system's way of shutting it down. So the way that I began to overcome this, the way that I was able to change the story with anxiety, or that's actually a word I refrain from using now. I actually call it overexcited or overstimulated. Again, when we are anxious, think about what's happening. The brain is firing fast. The heart is pumping higher. The breath is up. We're beginning to sweat. We're not quite comfortable in our own skin. So we talk about mental health, we talk about performance in the workplace, we talk about being present with our family and loved ones. We can't do any of those things if we're stuck in this fight or flight or always on state. So when we look at mental health, I think it's really important to come back to heart health. And the easiest, simplest, most long-lasting thing you can do to improve your health is to learn to breathe less. We're talking about the heart as a pump, but now I'm talking to you about your breath. Because the average American is breathing nearly 25 times a minute. 25 times a minute is crazy considering that ideal function is as close or lower than 10 breaths a minute. And if you think about that discrepancy of 15 breaths a minute times 24 hours in the day times 60 minutes. You do the math, this is thousands and thousands of heartbeats. This is thousands and thousands of extra breaths a day. And when I said that chronic state that's leading towards disease, it's overexcitement in the short term, then it becomes chronic disease and lagging health, then you have lower energy, then you don't want to do that charity fun walk, you don't feel good. You begin to have problems with your depression, your performance at work, you don't feel like you. So when we talk about mind-body connection, it really is taking care of the heart to take care of the mind. And the way that I can take care of the heart right now is to lower that over-breathing or that respiratory rate. So what we're going to do is we're just going to invite ourselves to find a little body scan to shake your body, just to kind of wiggle it out, right? They say the body keeps the score. We get all this tension, this overexcitement, the staring at the screens, the sitting down for so long. Can we just soften the body? And what we're doing right here is just the example of a full breath soft body practice. Bring one hand to your chest, to your heart, one hand down here to the belly. You're gonna take a sigh of relief, pulling it in through your nose. Can you make the belly rise? And then can you make the chest rise? Then can you make your exhale soften? Again, belly rise, chest rise, soften. Again. Get as full as you can, extra sip. Open mouth, exhale, soften. Hive and shake the body. Describe this as a full breath, soft body practice. Again, in through the nose, extra sip, open mouth, exhale. How slow, how low can you make that exhale? Can you prolong that exhale? One more time, pull it all the way in. Feel the rib cage flare. Can you make even the lower back flare as you fill that canister all the way up and then soften? How lightly can you let that exhale happen? How slow can you make it happen? Can you even find a hold down here at the bottom? Can you sit in the exhale hold? The ability to sit in that exhale hold is also a direct state of your nervous system. Okay, now you shake the body out. You just took 6 breaths. You took about 6 breaths in a minute. So again, I just told you that over breathing, or the average American is breathing about 20 to 25 breaths a minute. And you just slowed your breath down to about 6, 7, 8 breaths a minute. Think about what happens if you did that for 5 or 10 minutes at a time. And what's really interesting with modern science, or the way that I even work with my clients, is I monitor their heart rate variability. Your heart rate variability is essentially the distance between 2 beats taken at rest. And this gap is basically a readiness score of your nervous system. Are you ready to go? Is it a great day to go run and train for that half marathon? Is it a great day to just kind of go the status quo and do your little bit of walking, workout, whatever? Or is it a day to take rest? Is it that time where you're kind of burnt out, you're feeling low, notice the mental and the emotional state is gone? Your mental and emotional state is directly correlated to your heart's health, to your ability for your nervous system to be resilient. So if you want to feel less stressed, if you want to feel less anxious, you want to feel more happy, like your authentic self, and oh yeah, all the health benefits of physicality, you can start by just breathing. You don't have to overthink it. You don't have to go to the gym 5 times a week. You can start by lowering your heart rate. You can start by lowering in your respiratory rate. So this heart rate variability is the distance between 2 heartbeats when taken at rest. The Apple Watch, the Whoop trainer, the Oura ring, the fancy running watches, the Garmin's, etc. all take some function of this. And you can look at it as the body's battery. How much strain can the body take on? And that's physical stress, that's mental stress, that's emotional stress. Your nervous system, your heart doesn't know the difference. So if we track or we monitor where this nervous system score is at, it helps us understand, are we getting enough exercise? Because a lot of times that heart health or that mental health, those things can't be as good because we're not exercising enough. then of course that's where we want to start. That is the lowest hanging fruit. For some of us that are in this overexcited, anxious stress, we've kind of doing too much, we're overextending the body battery. That can also make it hard to get a good night's sleep at night. This is again where learning breath work, doing things that can lower your strain throughout the day, again, change that state, change the mental state, the emotional state, and the physical state throughout the day. When I look at my heart rate throughout an entire period of day, it's really, really interesting. My HRV, the state of my nervous system, my moods, my performance in work, all of these things are better when I take these little intermittent breaks, when I slow things down. So the way I like to look at it is when I have a negative thought, when my performance is slipping at work, when emotions are starting to come in, when I feel overexcited, to me that's a call to take a little break. It's a call to take a break. If I can go outside, if I can move my body, if I can stretch out a little bit, or maybe I just have time to take 6 of those deep breaths. Sometimes it's as little as just doing 3 breaths. So let's experiment with one more breath again. So this breath is popularized by Dr. Andrew Huberman, who is a great resource on holistic health. He's a neuroscientist out of Stanford, and he describes this breath as a double nasal inhale and then a long sigh, all the way to empty. Take a little pause. It comes back in. Again, can we fill that canister all the way up, and we slow it down. This breath is like the sigh of relief that we worked on earlier, but it gives us the opportunity to just slow things down a little bit. So even in a board meeting, you can sneak in a couple of box breaths, a couple sighs of relief, a couple of these things. People ask me how often I do breath work. I do breath work anytime I don't like that story, or that I know that I need to perform, or I need to be present. I lower my respiratory rate, which lowers my heart rate, which lowers my blood pressure, which helps me influence my thoughts. I can take conscious control. So yes, we are talking about heart health. I want you to get out there and move your body literally every day. But the little 10 and 15 minute walks, the little bit of stretching, find something that you love to do, move your body every day. You move your body every day, that's gonna help that HRV go up. It's gonna help you breathe less. It's gonna help you sleep better at night. It's gonna help you get that whole salad of low-hanging fruit. But it doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to be going to CrossFit classes. You don't have to be running half marathons. You learning to breathe less can have as big of an impact as anything. And especially those of you that are having a little bit of issues with the mental health, with the stress, with some of those things. The breath is a key. It is a remote to the nervous system. And it's a key to the nervous system because you can control the heart.